What's up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone and Chrome. We got a lot to talk about. Diamondbacks, Phillies, Game 6 preview, and we'll recap a little bit of Game 5. And as always, we'll have a catch with Mitch at the end of the show. So let's go. What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about? Let's go. Game 6 talk. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone and Chrome. We got a lot to talk about throughout the show. I'll have a catch with Mitch at the end of the show. We'll give a little bit of our ALCS. It's not a recap because they got another one to play. So they play Game 7 tonight. That's a big one. And the road teams won every one of those baseball games. So wonder who's going to win tonight. We'll obviously recap a little bit, which was Game 5. Phillies Diamondbacks down in Arizona, a must-win game, a response game for the Philadelphia Phillies, and they delivered that. But our main topic at hand is Diamondbacks versus Phillies Game 6 preview, and we are brought to you by our good friends over at Royal Billiard. They are the premier game room store of the Delaware Valley. They're stocked with the very best in pool tables, accessories, shuffleboards, card tables, dart supplies, bars, bar stools. Turn any ordinary room into an extraordinary gaming experience. Oh, did we mention they have hot tubs too? They're located right at 515 Bethlehem Pike, Colmar, PA, or visit them on the web, royalbilliard.com. So our main topic, Diamondback Phillies Game 6 preview, ties into our poll question. And our poll question is brought to you by our good friends over at Carlino's Market. They're located in Ardmore and Westchester, PA. I'm telling you, the best of the best. Go check them out. Go tell them A2D sent you, and you will not be disappointed. That's Carlino's Market, Ardmore, Westchester, PA. And our poll question for this afternoon show is a simple one. Very basic, guys. The Phillies will beat the Diamondbacks in Game 6 and advance to the World Series. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, that's where we're live. And everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. So hit the like, subscribe, follow. Most importantly, join the conversation. As always, Mitch, we let you lead this one off. So go ahead.
Yes, I think they do end it tonight, but with a caveat. As much as Major League Baseball likes these series to go 7 games, don't be surprised if we get some messed up umpiring tonight, like we did in Game 3, because Kimbrel had the one guy struck out in the 9th, and that would have changed the entire inning. So I look for them to win tonight, but the umpires could get involved.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. Chrome?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I had 6 to jump Wednesday night when we talked again. I still felt like it was coming back home. I think they shut the door today. You got Nola out there. This is the games. These are the games that we talked about that are the moneymaker games for a guy like him going into free agency. He's looked phenomenal in this postseason so far. And I'm looking for the bats to continue. It's going to be an electric atmosphere in Philadelphia. And Mitch, the one pushback I would give a little bit to that, and you're spot on in the way that Major League Baseball likes these things to play out. I think there's a real fear. This team, this Philadelphia team, they've been on McAfee's show. They've been all over the place. This team is on a national scale now. And when you don't have New York and you don't have Boston, you don't have Chicago, and you don't have St. Louis in the World Series or competing to get in, and you're talking about 2 Texas teams and Arizona, they won Philadelphia. That's the ratings team.
That's exactly right. And if they can get Philadelphia in 7 games to drag this out and make more money for the owners, that's what they'll do. But they definitely, Philly's the 4th largest market in the country, if I'm not mistaken. They do not want Arizona in that World Series because it will kill their ratings.
That's the moneymaker right there. That's your television deals, right? That's how you bring in the viewership. And with a superstar like Bryce Harper and guys like Kyle Schwarber, who's now getting more of a national recognition, that's what Major League Baseball needs.
Yes,
this year in the World Series.
Absolutely, they do. What do you think, Tommy?
Huh.
You
I don't know
picked
how.
him in 7.
Yeah, I picked them in 7, and part of me wants to like stick with that just because that's where I was. But I can't take my heart cannot take a game 7. It's going to be hard enough taking a game 6, right? But my heart definitely can't take a game 7. I don't know. You don't know what you never know what you're going to get in a postseason game, right? Like we can look at it and we think we're going to get one thing, and sometimes we get another thing. You know, Aaron Nola has been tremendous. He's been lights out. Their lineup has been off this entire series of the Diamondbacks up until really, game 3 and game 4. Well, not even game 3, but game 4 was the only time they really, made an impact big time offensively. They haven't until they've gotten later in the bullpen per se. So, I feel like that lineup's been due. They hit some home runs.
They're doo-doo.
Yeah, like I'm waiting for it, right? I'm waiting for it. I think when we come back here sometimes, not players, right? But I always look at like how the fans act. Like it's automatically, oh, they got to come back here. It's over. And guess what? The numbers have spoken to that at Citizens Bank Ballpark that your chances of winning are slim, right? Are slim. Okay. Yep. That being said, I know Philly, and I feel like if I know Philly the way I do, this will be a game 7. This will be a game 7. I still think the Phillies win. I don't think there's a shot in hell that they lose 2 games at home. And if they do lose 2 games at home, if they do, then we got a lot of problems. We got bigger problems because that can't happen.
Arizona is not getting through Nola and Ranger. Ranger pitched his ass off in his last start. And he does such a good job of controlling bat speed, keeping guys off balance on their front foot that they can't do any damage. And the worst thing you can do to a young lineup is throw a guy out there that's got a good breaking ball and a good changeup. Absolutely. And that's why I think it's over tonight, because if Nola does what he's been doing, it'll be a wrap.
Yeah, you just worry about like a hanger, right? That's all I worry about. Like he hangs one, he gets beat on it. They hit some balls hard off him that we made some really good defensive plays in game 2. I love Nola. So I'm always going to expect for him to come out and deal. And he probably will, being I'm saying that I think it goes 7, and it's almost a payback game because obviously we didn't see, their rookie starter at all this year. And we're coming off being scorching hot. So you can sort of feel that coming. Where
I called that one. Didn't I know that rookies? I knew it. They never hit guys who they'd never seen before. We talked about that the other day, right? That could have gone either way, but I knew it. I just had a feeling that Fott, or however you say his name, was going to come out there and shut the door on him. It just felt like that kind of vibe.
I hope Lavello hits the panic switch in this game like he did in the game the kid pitched last time. I wouldn't have taken that kid out of that game at gunpoint. There's no way. I'd have rode him until he dropped because we weren't sniffing him. And that might have been part of his strategy, not to let him see him 3 times through the order, because if it worked out like he wanted to, he was expecting to have a game 6. So this kid, it's a rookie, right? Spencer Strider, young, came in here, pitched well, but when it really mattered, he got tattooed. And I don't think it's going to be any different for this kid. This is going to be a lot of pressure on this kid tonight. Game 6 in Philadelphia, I'd rather walk in a lion's den in a pork chop suit as do that.
No, I agree. And I think like if they saw him again in game 7, they hit him around. And that'd be sort of where my head would go.
Wait, now you've seen him.
Fott is not starting tonight?
He's tomorrow.
No,
who's Kelly, tonight?
Merrill Kelly.
Oh, it's a wrap then.
Which they should hit Merrill Kelly too.
Yeah.
But that being said, I could see it. I could see it being typical Philly where we're forced into a game 7, the nerves get going, and we see a guy who shut us down, mowed us down, and we come out and we hit him all around the ballpark. And it's like it's a 9 type 2 game, right?
Yeah.
You see that kind of explosion. Like tonight you lose 3-2, right? Like tonight you lose 3-2, and tomorrow you come out and you explode on them. Because there's no way they win 2 games of Philly. And like I said, if they do, that's a big time problem. That can't happen. Some things can't happen, right? Then this whole little run was a lie, right? The resiliency we talked about is a lie. All those things would be essentially a lie when you have your 2 and 3, when you have the better pitching matchups in game 2 or game 3, and you have the better bullpen, you can't lose. And the only way you do lose is if your big bats go ice cold. If everybody goes ice cold, that's the only way the Phillies lose in one of these next 2 games. Because if you told the Philadelphia Phillies coming into this season that, hey, guys, you have 2 games, you got to win 1. You have 2 games at home, you got to win 1 of them to go to the World Series. Everybody in that locker room, everybody in that clubhouse signs up for that, and every fan in the world that's a Phillies fan signs up for that. I got 2 games at the bank. I got to win 1 of them to go to the World Series. Sign me up, baby. Sign me up. So here we are.
Wait, Leaky Jeep is offering me a grilled T-bone if the Phillies win. If you send me a ticket, I'll fly to Minnesota.
There's a caveat there.
No, listen, and I think it's interesting when you hear guys outside of the baseball world, right? Talk about the environment that's happening right now in Citizens Bank Park, particularly this year, right? When you see that energy where they're talking about, like, with Major League Baseball, listen, 162, it's a grind, 81 home games. You're not always going to be up for every game, right? Eagles games, though, people go crazy. They're talking about night in, night out. This being like a prime time, like, football playoff environment to go into. And I don't think it's an aberration why a lot of these teams are having a hard time playing there, because it's not common in the sport. There's not many places you're going to go to where you feel that energy. And as much as New Yorkers want to talk about, the New York Yankees and that environment, people want to talk about Boston, I'll tell you what, I'm not even a Phillies fan. I've never seen anything like what I'm seeing in Philadelphia, particularly this year. Me and Tom, we had this conversation the other day, Tom, right? And I said, I don't know. We talk about. I'm telling you, there's something different this year, though, brother. Something different.
You know what?
They are literally shaking walls, brother.
You know the closest thing I've ever seen to it was when the Red Sox won their first title. Okay, and obviously that Yankees series, that ALCS. That's the closest atmosphere that I've seen to that, because that atmosphere was electric. I mean, Boston, I'll give them credit. They're usually electric. Yankees fans are frauds, but Boston fans are a little bit more, to me, less fraudish, because they've been diehard forever. Yankees fans come from everywhere. They're Cowboys fans, right?
It's easy to be a Yankee fan. They've won so many championships. Boston at the time hadn't won any.
None.
So, and I look at it like this. Arizona can feel lucky because the bank only holds 46,000 people. I pitched in the vet with 62,000 in it. Trust me, you want to hear loud, you can't hear the catcher talking to you on the mound. That's when you're in a loud environment. So the way I see this whole next couple of games going, there's too much pressure. I think there's too much pressure for the young kids on that team in Arizona. Now, next year, if they get back to the postseason, I think Arizona could be a dangerous team because they'll have some experience in the postseason. And they're playing in the hardest place there is to play in the postseason, Philadelphia. So they aren't going to see a more hostile environment anywhere in their career. So I don't think they're ready for it this year, but next year they're going to be a team you have to watch out for.
Oh, absolutely, Mitch. Just a year or 2 away, right? That's what we said at the beginning.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they got a lot of good baseball players on that team.
Really good, and they're resilient too. It's not easy. It's easy. I say to my players all the time, the easiest thing to do is quit, right? Yep. So when you're down 2-0 and nobody is giving you a chance, even though you're going home, right? Nobody is. To be able to respond with 2 wins like that is why I'm not going to fully dismiss the Arizona Diamondbacks in this series. Like, they say that they can't win game 6. Like, I won't dismiss them because they've shown their own toughness. They're just young. And to your point, like, and both your guys' point, this is a different place to play, baby. Now, there's also a caveat to that. You get down 3-0, this place gets easier. You get up 3-0, this place gets a lot easier to play, like any place, right? You quiet it down. You as the Phillies don't get off to a good start, or Arizona gets off to a good start. Well, now that changes the complexion of it. But anything within a 1-run, 2-run game, this place is going to be electric. The only thing that's going to stop that is that, God forbid, it got to the point of, hey, 4, 5, something, right, Mitch? Something lengthy where now it's going to drown it out and everybody's sitting on their hands. But I want to congratulate you because it came up on my feed last week and I was a day late on it. And I wish I wasn't because I would have posted it. But it was the, I think with 30 years, the 30-year anniversary of.
Oh, yeah, great.
Well, no, 30. Hold on, that's a great one. It's 30-year anniversary of the NLCS.
Oh, the NLCS.
Yeah. And how was that crowd that night? After that, after you throw by
unbelievable.
Oh,
unbelievable.
Do you ever get that feeling again? How do you replace that feeling?
You can't. The birth of my children. That was the closest thing that I ever got to that kind of excitement.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, that's the only thing that can even can get there.
Yeah.
Nothing else. And I think that's what these guys, it's almost like a drug, right? And it's a good drug, right?
It felt that way when that game was over. All I did, I went in the clubhouse and I just sat on a table and tried to calm down and just take it all in because you don't know if that's ever going to happen again. So that's all I did. I went into the clubhouse, sat on a table with a beer in my hand, and just looked at all my teammates and watched them celebrate.
Man, never experienced that.
It's a little different. I can tell you that.
Well, I hope these guys get to experience that tonight.
Yeah, I have every expectation that Phillies are going to go out there and put an end to this series tonight. They just have too much offense, and the batting night at Citizens Bank Park the other day, and I guess it was or in the Braves series where they started that game early, and you had the shadows on the batting eye, and nobody could put the ball in play, and then the shadows went away, and that's when the Phillies started doing all the damage. They like hitting in this ballpark, and that's a scary proposition for the Diamondbacks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, real quick.
Chrome, I think you want to talk about this one. Right, this question we
Let's see.
up earlier.
You have pitching 8th and 9th innings, bullpen. Also, if Nola struggles early, who do you throw on the mound for 5 and 7? Yeah, I wanted to get Mitch's insight on this. Obviously,
if we have a lead going into the 5th through the 7th, Hoffman is going to be my guy coming out of that bullpen to eat up those middle innings. He's been outstanding.
I agree.
And I'm sorry. You can say whatever you want about the left-hander. I am going to use Kimbrel as my closer, period. He's been there. He's done that. And I look at the Alvarado. This guy throws hard. He's got great stuff. But can you depend on it in a 9th inning with nobody behind him? If he doesn't have anybody behind him, if they use everybody up before they get to the 9th, I can't put Alvarado out there. I have to have Kimbrel out there.
I agree. I said this when we signed Craig Kimbrel, and not a lot of people listen. But if you looked at his splits and you looked at some numbers, you went a deeper dive into it. With LA last year, the only team that hit him was the Arizona Diamondbacks in Arizona. I mean, they wore him out. So it's not been a good place for him. So, I also caught a little bit of it too, is you do 30 the night before and you're coming back and you're throwing again. It's not ideal for a 35-year-old. It's not this late into a season. Now, with 2 days off now, like he's had, 2 games off, right? I absolutely, if we're in the 9th inning, that's Craig Kimbrel to close it out. I mean, nobody else on this roster has 400 saves.
11 guys in that bullpen to go to. All Rob has to do is push the right button.
Yeah, I think for me, I would agree. So I think typically I would probably disagree to this and maybe flip-flop them. However, great points on Kimbrel. And the other thing is, what has worked through the playoffs? If it's not broken, don't fix it. Having Alvarado almost be like a fluent in-game closer where if I feel like the 7th inning is my highest leverage moment, having him come in and get that last out in the 7th or last out in the 8th, I like him in that role. It's worked all playoffs.
I'm fine with that, Chrome, but you have to have Kimbrel behind him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you now. Yeah, I'm saying I would have disagreed before, but now seeing how Topper's managed the bullpen, I can't disagree. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I can't argue against saving Kimbrel for the end and really just using Alvarado in what you think is the highest leverage position of the game.
Hey, guys, I got to step away. I got to plug my computer in. It's fixing to go dead.
Nope, you got it.
So excuse me, people.
Yeah, Alvarado does get too emotionally charged to close it down at this stage. I agree with that. I mean, the stuff's closer stuff, obviously. It's almost unhittable. But man, I'm giving I know people don't like it. It's not it's not the popular response or answer to it, but it's the guy who got me here, right? You go with what got you here. You go with what's worked. Like he hasn't pitched well in Arizona, so that's a facts. That's the trend. But you're not gonna not give him the ball in that game either, right? I mean,
right.
maybe I don't. Maybe I figure out a different way. But that's not Rob wasn't going to the book, obviously, in that situation to even put any thought into that. He went off of what he felt, right? And it came back and bit him in game 4, and that happens, man. I mean, listen, closers get hit. We act like everybody's Brad Lidge, man. These guys are getting paid to hit too. So if you make a mistake or you don't have your ace stuff, you get hit. And this late in the season, when you're on back-to-backs like you are, and you're throwing more pitches than you have in a minute, right? But you're tired. You're tired. It's not an excuse. I need you to get out. But it's also I probably don't want to throw that guy after I throw him 32 the night before. So that's more of the conversation when it comes to Kimbrel than am I going to put him out there. He's had 2 days off. He's as fresh as he's going to be. So either I leave him off my roster right now, which I can't, or I go with what's helped me get to this point, and I go with the biggest vet I have back there.
The guy,
not telling
the
you
guy
the best.
is going to be able to slow the game down in that situation. Alvarado is not going to slow the game down. They made a great point right here. He gets too emotionally charged. He does. He gets outside himself too often when he's spiking fastballs, spiking his cutter. That's when I start to get worried because he starts spiking a cutter. That ain't easy to block for JT. And if you can use him early, say in the 6th or 7th, and then go to Hoffman for the 8th and have Kimbrel for the 9th, you still got Soto sitting down there that hasn't done much of anything. And this guy throws 100 with a good breaking ball. So they have all the weapons to get this accomplished tonight.
Absolutely. And fresher weapons too. Right.
I would make the argument too, when you look back at that game 4, right? Everybody's coming down on Kimbrel. But and listen, he did not have a great outing, let's be honest. And some things could have gone differently. Like you said, Mitch, certain pitches that may or may not have been strikes were called differently. Not an excuse. It was what it was. But I think people overlooked the fact that outside of Hoffman, I felt like everybody after Hoffman really didn't pitch very well in that game in terms of the bullpen. There were guys struggling when you talked about Dominguez and trying to remember who the hell else came in that game. I know Kirkering came into that game. Guys were missing their spots. Guys, it looked like there was a lot of walks. They were trying to be too fine. They were overthrowing, underthrowing. I felt like they were pressing the bullpen. I mean, Hoffman came out and did what he did, and that's why I agree with you, Mitch, in terms of if we need a guy to go in there and eat up 2 innings tonight, that's the guy I'm going to.
Yes, sir.
But I don't bring it all down on Kimbrel because it seemed like you could see the momentum carrying to that moment.
Well, I mean,
as the bullpen struggled.
JT swung at a pitch that hit the Phillies dugout, a curveball with a runner on third, and less than 2 outs. So when you don't take advantage of those things, I'm not saying you got to tack on the 5-2 all the time, but when you have opportunities to tack on and put somebody away, you got to do it. You got to do it. So I started feeling when that was happening. I think we stranded 2 guys on third with less than 2, and I looked at my wife and I said, "Oh, we're not winning this game." And she's like, "What are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about." I said, "I just got a bad feeling. I got a bad vibe now because if you make it 6-2, it's a wrap to me." Now JT the next night makes up for it by hitting a two-run bomb that put that game out of reach, right? That didn't make it feel like they had a chance to come back,
right? Well, it takes their heart. And that's what this team is built on in Arizona. They're a bunch of young kids with a lot of heart, a lot of talent. And Chrome, I got to give you props too. Marte, that is a baseball player. When he got on top of Kimbrel's 96-mile-an-hour fastball up the other day to win that game, that was impressive. Extremely impressive.
He just has, when you look at him, first of all, he's a sensational defender. He shortstop, now converted to second base. And even outside of that, we've seen it firsthand. I think he's one of those guys that goes under the radar, like I talked about a Marcus Semien, right?
Why? Because he plays in Arizona.
And he's young. They got him locked in through 2028. When you look at that lineup, right, and that's your guy, that's their Bryce Harper, so to speak, right? That's their guy. And you talk about the Carrolls and the Gurriels and the Maldonados, or not Maldonado. Who's their catcher?
Moreno.
Oh, Moreno.
Yeah, Moreno. There we go. And then you look at Sanchez at third base. They got pieces in place. This team's just going to get better to what you guys were talking about, right? So, and coming to Philadelphia, like you said earlier, playing in that environment, it's going to help a team that is very, very talented grow, that already has two young aces in place. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with, but it's not this year. This is not their time. I seen somebody dropped in there how we think the weather's going to, I think it was Nate, asked how the weather's going to affect the game tonight, right?
It ain't going to affect the Phillies at all.
No, because listen, I mean, when you talk about power, those guys will, I mean, the way they're hitting them out and at the clip they're hitting them out, they're hitting them at 440, 460.
Yeah.
So even if that weather deadens the ball a little bit, they're still going to be hitting that ball out on that right porch.
I think it's harder for the pitcher than it is for hitters. I mean,
I agree.
I look at can you get the proper grips? Are you getting the proper feel when your hands get cold? Right, you don't. That I look at more for pitchers hitting in the cold than hitters. Like, I mean, it's not ideal. It's not ideal getting jammed up at 99 in 45 degrees either. But like the hitter finds the barrel, he finds the barrel. It's going to go. It's going to go. Yeah, unless there's like 40-mile winds blowing in, like the Nate thing about home runs, like that's not, like Mitch said too, that's not going to change it, right? Or Chrome said, like if you hit a ball 440, you're right.
Okay, the cold weather, that means it's going to go 438.
Yeah.
If you barrel the ball, it's gone. And I gotta,
you just don't get a cheapie. That's all.
I gotta respond to the question about Bohm and Stott, why they've struggled. To me, this is a tough time of year to play. You've been playing forever, it seems like. What did they play? They played close to 175 games now, 170, somewhere in there. I think both of them need to drop down an ounce on their bats. What if they're swinging at 33-32? They need to go to a 33-31 or a 33-30. But you can't. This time of year, your body is worn out, and you don't feel it. You're dragging the barrel through the zone. Drop down an ounce. Yeah. I've watched guys for years and years do that.
No, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, everything's tired. You're tired.
Everything Bohm has hit on the screws has been right at somebody this series. And he's done a hell of a job at third base. You cannot say one thing about his defensive performance.
And Stott's made some very sensational plays at second base as well, including the other night.
Yeah, it's combo for both of them. They're not carrying it, right? Nope. Which is so important. All right, boys. Well, I have to jump out of here. Go Phillies tonight. It's the worst start time of all time. These start times are brutal. But again,
what time does it start? 8?
5:07.
Oh, it's at 5:07 tonight.
Yeah, 5:07 Eastern, because obviously Houston won last night.
How about that?
Or Texas won last night to extend that.
There's no such thing as a home field advantage for those two. Houston can't win at home, and obviously the Rangers can't either. But after last night, Houston's in trouble because they know they don't play. I think I heard a number. It was either their postseason winning percentage at home was 22%. I mean, that's almost impossible.
Especially the way they've won. It's even more impossible just the way they've gone about it and won. All right, Cromer, and you'll just get the read at 45, and that's it.
You got it.
I can take care of the videos too. I got it queued up already.
Oh, I could have told Ralphie that. Okay, good stuff.
Go do your lesson. We don't need.
All right, then Ralphie.
No, you don't need me at all. Yo, great show, guys. Let's go, Phils. We'll be talking again next Monday about the World Series. So
Yes, we
giddy
will.
up. See you guys.
See you, buddy. Oh, Chromie, this is going to be a fun night. I'm glad you guys told me what the start time was because I thought it was a 7 o'clock game here.
No,
8 o'clock
def-
there.
definitely not. Let's step away, Mitch. We're going to run our commercials here. We'll come back on the other side. We'll keep talking NLCS Game 6 tonight between the Philadelphia Phillies, Arizona Diamondbacks. We're also going to talk a little bit of ALCS. What a series that's been. Game 7 tonight. The most exciting game in professional sports. All this and much more. Myself, Mitch Williams, thanks to Tom Arnone. We'll be back in a moment.
In our family, food is our daily bond. My Nonna, affectionately called Mama by many, found solace and joy in the kitchen, sharing her love through delicious creations. She turned her culinary passion into a flourishing business alongside her husband and sons in 1983. Celebrating 40 years is a testament to our exceptional team, friends, family, and beloved customers. With gratitude, we look forward to the future, expanding our brand to share the highest quality Italian food and wine nationwide. Our heartfelt thanks to everyone who has played a part in our story. Grazie mille.
That looks good.
Hats.com is the premier destination for quality and fashion-forward hats and more, with designs for every style and trend. Locally based and run by Philly sports team fanatics, Hats.com can help you elevate your hat john. Utilize the easy-to-use guides at Hats.com to find your perfect size and style, and shipping and returns are free. Hats.com. Find yourself in a hat. Use code Philly for 15% off your order. Hats.com.
There you have it.
All right, Mitch. The only thing I don't have, buddy, I don't know how to do the RTC one. So let's just talk about it. RTC, brother.
If any kind of freight you need shipped, you just got to call me at RT's Raymond Transportation Corporation. We'll get it there, and we'll get it there safe. I wish I had the phone number handy, but I don't.
That's all right. We'll get it. But best in the Delaware Valley. So make sure you guys hit him up. I'll make sure we get the phone number out there. I'll do another read before the end. But we're back here on ATD Radio. This is Here's the Thing with Mitch Williams, Tom Arnone, and myself, Chrome. Joining, Tom had to hop off. He's got a baseball lesson to take care of, so we're here. Hey, baseball guys got a baseball, right?
That's right. I just talk about it now.
that's perfect. That's what we love having you here for, Mitch. But listen, so we talked about a lot of things. We talked about the Phillies. Some really great comments and questions. And by the way, guys, please keep those coming regarding the pitching staff and the rotation and the bullpen. But yeah, so coming out tonight, Mitch, offensively, what needs to happen tonight for the Phillies to set the tone? I mean, listen, it's hard to expect Schwarber to hit a first inning home run every game, right? But what do they need to do at the plate second time around against Kelly, who did pitch well against them, at least for the first couple of innings in game 2? And then they were able to start tagging him up a little bit. So, what do they need to do coming out and here at home, game 6, not wanting to face a game 7 to get the job done?
Score first. That's all there is to it. Score first, put the pressure on that other lineup, make them go up there and get outside themselves. You do not want to be in Philadelphia and fall behind. If you fall behind in Philadelphia, all that's going to do, that crowd is just going to keep getting energized. Every out that is recorded, when the Phillies are ahead, the crowd is going to get louder. And the only way you're going to win this game is to take the crowd out of it if you're Arizona. If the crowd stays in it, they're not going to win this game.
Yeah, I think, I agree with you. I think you got to come out and you got to score early. You got to hit. I need a contribution more from some of these young guys. And I know we're talking about Stott. I thought Stott looked good last game.
Yeah.
Looked like he's starting to come around a little bit.
You know what? I look at Stott, and all I see is just a guy that may be a little fatigued right now. And if that's the case, he's playing unbelievable defense. But at the plate, all he's got to do, in my opinion, is just drop down an ounce on the weight of his bat. An ounce makes all the difference this time of year. And Bohm's hit into quite a bit of hard luck. But again, you look at what he's done defensively. They aren't winning this series right now if Bohm and Stott aren't in the field. Because Stott has made plays that have saved runs. Bohm has made plays that have saved runs. So for me, if these guys hit, that's great. Marsh is doing an outstanding job swinging the bat. And defensively, Rojas in center field. He ain't done much at the plate, but he's caught everything he could get to in the outfield. And that's all you can ask for. If you don't hit, there's an old adage, don't let in more than you drive in. And if you're not driving in runs, take them away in the field. And that's what they've done.
Oh, it's true. Jason Cardamone drops in. And that's actually, I say it surprises me, but I'm curious to see what your thoughts are, right? I assumed that Walker would have started game 4, and I think a lot of us, at least on Wednesday, thought that was going to be a possibility. Obviously, they went with Sanchez. Did disagree with the decision, but Jay asks, but why? He says Toppers hit all the right buttons, but why no Lorenzen or Walker specifically on Friday night after Sanchez was pulled early?
That I can't. Lorenzen, for me, I was really high on this kid when he came over because he located everything. And now he's falling behind hitters. And the one thing you don't do in the postseason is fall behind hitters and put them in a count where they can look for something. And Lorenzen has done that. Walker, I can't answer that question. I don't know why he hasn't seen any action on the mound. He won more games than any of them this year, did he not? But he didn't. He didn't have the best ERA and all that. But a win's a win's a win's a win is how I look at it. Every one of those wins he got, he had a chance to lose, and that's how I look at it.
I agree with you, but looking at his wins, and listen, he got a lot of run support. He got a lot more run support over the regular season than what Aaron Nola got.
Yeah, that ain't his fault. That ain't something you can hang on the pitcher. All you can do is.
I agree, but his ERA was high, Mitch. Like I like him. We talk about him, right? I always say all the time. The one thing I thought he did well, whether he was on his best, he had his best stuff or not, in situations where you needed him to make outs, which is where I think translates to the wins, he was able to get important outs. So it was situationally, but overall, the way I thought they would go with Walker for that reason, and because he's been in the league for a while at this point, more of a veteran experience than what Sanchez has. But in hindsight,
if I had to bet, Chrome, before this series started, and if they were gonna use a 4th starter, I would have bet on Sanchez simply because he has that changeup. And the best way to beat a young, talented lineup is get them on their front side at the plate. And his changeup, the problem with his changeup and his start the other night, everything was falling away outside to a right-handed hitter. And if a changeup starts away, it ain't going to come back.
Yeah.
But I look at that and I look at Walker. Which one do they have a better chance to hit and build a rally against? I would say Walker, because he doesn't command his split that well, and his fastball command's not great. So for me, Sanchez was the right choice in that game.
Yeah, I thought it made a lot of sense, and again, I thought it paid off. And I think there's a possibility we may see him at some point in these playoffs. Walker, sure, but guess what? He's one of the first guys up on the step, congratulating, cheering everybody on. And if that's his contribution in the playoffs, that's a hell of a contribution, right? Because we talk about culture, right? And how this team changed when Reese came back, and how these guys talk about each other. I watched Bryce Harper's interview with Pat McAfee recently, and on the show, he just talks so much about the culture in Philadelphia and how these guys were meant to play in Philadelphia.
You
Like
can look
they
at
were
it.
made to play here. Yeah, it's like you guys, Mitch, in 93. I swear to God, I see so many comparisons, except for, I don't know if you guys had a player quite on the elite level of a Bryce Harper. Maybe, and I think that's not a
No.
knock to 93. He's a special, special player.
Oh, he is.
But I look at that team and just in terms of how hard they grind, how they support each other, right? And even the role players have a defined role and they understand what their role is and they play it very, very well. It's a special team. And I start to see this translate, Mitch, I feel like throughout Philadelphia sports. Last night I'm listening to Jalen Hurts. The Eagles get a huge win against the Miami Dolphins last night in prime time.
Yep.
They show Jalen Hurts sitting at the podium. Every question they ask Jalen about himself, it's 1-2 word answers. But when they ask about A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith or DeAndre Swift or Jalen Carter,
He expounds.
he gets like there's like a different energy. His spirit lifts up, and he talks more and more and more because it's about. I want to talk about those other guys because listen. What I do is what I do, but what I do is because those other guys help me to do it.
Yeah, and I look at Walker, and you're exactly right. He's had every opportunity to look at everybody and say, look, I won more games than anyone on this team this year, and I'm not pitching. That would have destroyed that chemistry in the clubhouse. I look at what he's doing in these games. Chrome, you're exactly right. He's the first one to the top step to congratulate them when they come back. And that goes so far with the rest of that team, it's not even funny. And when I look at it, and the comparisons I can draw, you look at Walker, he's figured out, okay, Rob Thompson's made his decision. I'm not going to change it. So I'm going to be the best me I can be on that bench for everybody else. And I look back at our team, we had 3 platoons. That would never work in today's game. You can't get 6 guys to say, okay, I'm only going to play half the time and be happy with it. Well, our guys back then, they thrived in it. When you look at what our outfield did, what our second baseman did, Inky and Milk drove in 135 runs out of left field that year. Eisenreich and West, look at what the numbers they put up. And then you look at Duncan and Morandini at second base. We do not get to that World Series, period, without those platoons. And they all sucked it up and made it work. And we're happy for the other guy. That's how it has to be if you're going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a shout out here from Miami Beach. What's up, Humberto? Appreciate you joining the show today. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams. Myself, Chrome, Tom Arnone was with us earlier. He had to hop off baseball duties call. We're talking Philadelphia Phillies, Arizona Diamondbacks, NLCS Game 6 preview. And momentarily, I think we're going to touch a little bit on the ALCS. Again, phenomenal series between those teams. But we appreciate you guys dropping your comments in. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow A2D Radio. Here's another. We have 26 of them. 26 of them. That's right. 26 plus guys on this team that are like that.
That's how it's got to be.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
I honestly, I want this team to get to the World Series and win it, because then we can turn back the clock. Everybody that's ever played in Philadelphia and bitched and whined and cried about the fans in Philadelphia. I want them to win this World Series so they can get back to August when our fan base in Philly gave Trey Turner a standing ovation. Completely flipped his season. And I was driving down 95 and saw the billboard that Trey Turner put up for the fans. That's the kind of effect it had on Trey. It's just something you can't explain in Philadelphia. They're hard-nosed. They want to win, but Trey's going to be here for a while, and they knew that. So they could boo him and destroy him or cheer him and bring him back to the player he's always been. They chose the latter.
Yeah, I totally agree. Mitch, there was a comment here earlier. It was a 2-parter. I'm going to get to the second part here. He's basically talking about Rojas. And the first part was essentially talking about his glove, his defense, how incredible it is, his speed. But he basically goes on. This is Ryan Swope. What's up, Swopey? He comments in on every show.
I talked about this last week, I believe, that come spring training, You know what you got defensively in this kid. He's going to bunt an hour a day, every day in spring training. If he
Yes.
learns to bunt and do it effectively, now they have a number 9 hole hitter.
Agreed. And for anybody who's checking us out on the podcast platform, the question essentially that we have in here is that should the Phillies have Rojas going to the plate and seeing 3 or 4 pitches before he takes a swing, and also talking about using his speed at any means, which is where Mitch discussed with us last week on the show in regards to let's get this guy out there bunting more so he can bunt for hits and kind of shake the game up, manufacture opportunities that way. But in terms of in the immediate, Mitch, do you tell him to go up there and take a couple pitches before he swings, or I got my little doggy friend over here? Yeah.
I don't think you can handicap a hitter like that. What I would tell him is just cut his swing down. Understand what
Shorten
you
up.
are. What he is, he's a skinny, not loaded with power, so why swing for power? Put the ball in play. The more balls he puts in play, the more times he's going to be safe at first base. And that's all it comes down to. He can't strike out at the rate he strikes out at. And that's just, he sees 8 guys ahead of him, all of them hitting home runs, except me. So what does he want to do? He wants to go up there and hit a home run. He's young. Like Bill just said, he's 22. He will learn quickly how to maximize his talent. He'll learn quickly if he realizes the kind of player he is. He is not going to be a 20 home run a year guy. He needs to get that out of his mind. But he can fill the gaps up with line drives. He's got that kind of potential. But it all comes down to pitch selection. If you go up there and you swing at a first pitch breaking ball, you're making it way too easy on the pitchers. If it's a first pitch breaking ball, you got to learn to take it. I don't care if it's a strike. If you go up there looking for a breaking ball first pitch, you're screwed. Go up there and just get more selective. Any kind of breaking ball first pitch, he needs to learn to take it, regardless if it's a ball or a strike.
Yeah, I keep trying to think of like a major league comparison of what his potential could be like in terms of his build, because I don't see him being a guy, particularly with his speed, going out there and lifting a ton of weights to try to become a power hitting center fielder or any of that. You know, maybe like a Brett Gardner type of player where
that's exactly what he could be.
Pop you maybe 10 to 15 a year, but really, like you said, fill up the gaps, use the lines, use all areas of the field, including the infield and shifts. Find ways to manufacture getting on base and maybe stealing a couple bases. I think he'll become a better base stealer as time goes because he's a very fast runner. I guess that's where I would see, and obviously with the glove, a better. I mean, Gardner was decent with the glove, but I would see him as a better outfielder.
Yeah,
but
he's a better outfielder, and I look at it this way: if
offensively, that's where I'm seeing him at.
If Kevin Long, all he did was get him to choke up and control the barrel of his bat a little more, it's going to lead to more hits. There's a lot of guys that don't want to choke up. Well, I can say this. Barry Bonds choked up every single pitch of his career, and it didn't hurt his power any, but it helps him control where the barrel is in the zone, and I think that's what Rojas needs to do. He needs to learn how to control his barrel.
Yeah, it's been weird, too, because he doesn't look great at the plate 3 out of 4 times, but then he has one at bat, it seems, every game where he finds a way to get on base or move a runner over, whatever it is. I'd like that. You know, it's about what you said, Mitch, like maybe shortening your swing, finding a little more consistency, you know, being shorter to the ball to where, you know, we're not worrying about muscling a ball out anywhere. Just get yourself on base. And guess who's sitting behind you? Because if you're hitting the 9 hole, after that first inning where Schwarber leads off, he's in a run production position for the rest of the game, particularly with the way Marsh has been hitting overall.
Yeah.
And then you look at him, if he can start getting on base and you get that speed with those 2 guys on base in front of you, a lot more. We're going to be seeing a lot more of these RBIs coming from Schwarber than, right now where it looks like he gets like 47 home runs, but only like 90 RBIs because so many are solo home runs.
Well, and the thing about it, he's got so many good examples in that lineup ahead of him. He needs to learn how to stay inside the baseball. with his hands. As soon as you get out away from your body with your hands, you now have a broomstick in your hand. When you stay inside the baseball, now your hands are in front of the barrel. You're controlling the barrel.
Correct.
That's
You
what he
control the
needs to
barrel back.
learn.
Yep.
That's all he needs to learn to do. And then we talked about it on this show, I don't know how many times. Batting tee is one of the best teachers in the world. You don't need anybody to stand there with you. You can move it to wherever you want to move it to and learn how to keep your hands inside the baseball on an away pitch, on a ball in, on a ball down the middle. The tee will help him do that. And like I said, choke up on the bat, control your barrel. If he controls his barrel, he's going to be a lot tougher hitter.
I 100% agree with that. Let's see. Playoffs, just get on base. Worry about hitting next season. Use the speed to make things happen in the playoffs.
Well, the problem is you can't steal first base. And that's where he's at right now because he's not making enough contact to get any infield singles or that type of thing because he's a free swinger. Everybody on that Arizona staff knows they don't have to throw him strikes. If they throw him strike one, the at-bat's over because he's a free swinger, and then the breaking balls come in where you don't have to throw him over the plate, and he chases. And he's not the only one in this lineup that chases. But he's got to learn how to control that barrel and where it's at in the zone and keep his hands inside the baseball.
Agreed.
Let the ball travel. Let it get deeper on you. Don't jump out there. Let the ball travel. Slap it to right field. It all counts the same. They don't say where the ball landed. All they say is base hit. And that's what he's got to get used to because he's not going to hit 20 home runs a year. Maybe if after he turns 25 and he can put on a little weight, maybe. But right now, he's got to stay within himself. He can't try and be Bryce Harper. He can look at Trey Turner and see the kind of power he generates with his build. Trey's no bigger than a popcorn fart, but I look at that, the way his hands are right now, staying inside the ball, and he got rid of that lag behind his head. This is the kind of player the Phillies went out and signed. That's what they expected when they signed him. And it's all come to fruition from August on.
Oh, I know they were talking about it. I mean, his OPS right now is insane.
Oh,
the way he's hitting the ball.
It's over 600, isn't it?
Something like that. It's pretty wild. But yeah, so listen, let's talk a little ALCS here real quick, Mitch. I want to mention this before we do. I don't know if anybody watched our show last week. You don't think we know what we're talking about? First of all, if you have watched all season, Mitch called out Trey's batting flaws right off the bat, and Aaron Nola's pitching issues, right? You don't think we know what we're talking about here? Why you should be watching this show every week? How much did we nail that last week? What did we say? Come out and punch him in the face.
Yep.
Right, Mitch? I said Schwarber open up with a home run. What do you do first pitch? Boom. We know what we're talking about here. And you know what? I'm going to go to the well again, Mitch. Mark it down. I'm not going to say Schwarber. I am. I'm going Schwarber again. He's going to come in again, and he's going to kick this game off with a slap in the face to Kelly with a bomb. Deep bomb. Let's go. I'm doubling down, Mitch.
I'm saying that Harper hits the first home run tonight.
But that's why I hesitated. I almost went Harper, but I'm going to go Schwartz.
Well, right now, the way Bryce is swinging the bat, if you throw him it's like the big guy, Yordan Alvarez for the Houston.
Another dude who's unbelievable.
You could throw him the frickin' rosin bag, he'd hit a double. It doesn't matter. That's what Harper's at right now. That is exactly where he's at. They don't want to pitch to him. There's a couple of guys in this lineup they don't want to pitch to. And watch tonight. I'm going to say Schwarber walks because Kelly knows he don't want to be behind 1-0.
That's I'll tell you what, if we get a Schwarber walk that's not intentional, wow, I might fall on the floor.
Oh, Schwarber, he walks. His on-base percentage is still over 300.
I know, but in the playoffs, it just feels like they're not trying to put him on base. They're going at him.
I'm telling you right now, if I'm pitching, that log jam is going to be walked or he's swinging at balls. Because you put him on base, you got to hit the ball out of the park to score him.
Well,
He's
listen,
the only guy that looks like he's 5'9" that wears a size 18 shoe. When
I
he
mean,
walks up to the plate, he looks like an L. He's got huge feet.
well, listen, there are some people. I mean, some of these home runs they're hitting are out of the zone, Mitch. They're just putting good swings on pitches. The other night, that second home run that was hit by Bryce in the same inning as Schwarber, that was up. That was elevated out of the zone. He just got his barrel up. And like you said, hands inside, follow through, and he crushed it.
I can honestly say that Harper probably puts more into a swing and gets his entire body into it more than any hitter I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone, because what Harper does is he starts here, and then when he loads, he drops and gets. No hitter wants their head going up and down in their load. When you load, you want your head to be able to stay still. Harper goes, he gets all down here. He gets everything on every swing. And God bless him, it sure works for him.
I'll tell you what, and you know, listen, my age growing up, it was, you know, we're talking 80s, 90s. If I look at some of this, like when you know a guy gets a hold of a ball, and it's like one of those most beautiful swings you've seen, Harper's up there. I mean, I always look at Griffey. When Griffey would follow through and you know he got a hold of one, it was just like a beautiful thing to see. Harper's up there. When he takes that swing and you know he's gotten a hold of one, it is like a masterpiece.
All you have to do is, and the funny part is, when he first came back from injury, everybody was like, why can't Harper hit the ball out of the ballpark? He had Tommy John surgery. He could not lift for his upper body all winter long. He had to do the rehab, get that thing healthy to where he could lift. Now you're seeing, I said back in August, Chrome, we did the show, Harper had 5 home runs the 1st of August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I said he would have over 10 by the end of August. Well, it wasn't even close. He blew by that. He had to get his body back in playing shape. And now you're seeing exactly how hard he worked. It wasn't that he didn't want to lift weights in the offseason. He couldn't. It's tough to throw bench press up when you got an elbow that don't work.
Yeah.
So they just had to be patient with him. And I look at him now. I played against guy McGuire, Canseco. Canseco might be the only guy that I ever saw swung harder than Harper. I mean, he swung hard and still does today. But that's why I'm picking him. I don't think Kelly wants to fall behind 1-0 to a leadoff hitter, and that's what he's staring in the face tonight. So I think he's going to nibble. I really do. I think he's going to break and ball him, stay away, or he's going to be way off the plate in. I don't think he's going to go right at him. I think if it was me, there's no way I would, because I know Schwarber can't run. He ain't going to steal a base unless the lights go off in the stadium.
Yeah.
And he ain't going to score on a double. So I'm not worried about him being on first base. He's a log jam on the bases. And if you ask Kyle, you know how I know he would say he's a log jam? Did you see the ball he hit off the cupped portion of the bat the other night? That squibbled down the third baseline, and he got to first base, and he's doing all this, and everyone's making fun of him in the dugout. That's why I know. He knows what his limitations are. He doesn't hold any, what am I trying to say here? He doesn't have any delusions about where his strengths and weaknesses are.
Oh, he knows exactly who he is.
He knows exactly. He is up there for one reason, to hit the ball in the popcorn seats. That's all he's up there for. He's up there just put the ball in the bleachers. He knows it, and he's damn good at it. Really good at it.
The only thing I would do to combat that, and the reason why I could see them taking a different route tonight, is that's what Gallen tried to do the other day, and they still gave up 2 runs in the first inning. He tried to, game 1, he came out and he was throwing the smoke, right? He was coming straight at hitters, and they made him pay. Game 5, he comes out, and he's nibbling away, and he's trying to use his movement, and he's a fastball pitcher, and that's how Kelly is too. That's their best pitch. You have to go to it at some point, so you can't be too fine to nibble too much. You get yourself into trouble like Gallen did the other day, and he pitched phenomenally for 3.5 innings after that until they started tagging him again. But it was kind of a similar situation. We're running low on time. Let's just real quick touch on ALC.
If Texas wins, are they home field advantage over us?
So if Philadelphia goes to the World Series, if the Rangers win, the Rangers get home field advantage. If Houston wins, the Phillies get home field advantage. And the reasoning why, because they don't do any kind of a reseeding or anything, it's by record. All three teams with the same record. However, the Phillies, I believe Houston took 2, or the Phillies took 2 of 3 from Houston.
And I know the Rangers slapped the shit out of them in the first series of the
swept them to open the season.
Yeah.
Right. So in head-to-head, which is the tiebreaker, the Rangers get home field advantage. So you want to see Houston win tonight?
I would rather see the Rangers win, because if we get home field, well, I can't say that. I don't think Houston come into Philly and beat up the Phillies, and they can't win at home. Houston, I think either one. I think the Phillies have a better chance against Houston now that I think about it.
Yeah, because it's exactly what you said. You almost argue against yourself there for a second, because the Phillies are so unbelievable at home. It is such and it is a different environment. I know that Houston's been here, but I'm telling you, even compared to last year, the way that place is rocking this year, it's a different vibe. Then you go back, Houston can't win on the road. They can't win at home.
They can't win at home. I look at that, and the way the Rangers have just slapped them around down there in Houston, it's unbelievable to me. But I look at that, and the Rangers, all they had to do was win one game at home, and that series was over.
Yeah.
Philadelphia will win that one game. They'll win 2 games at home, and then go to Houston, and all they got to do is win 2.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I feel like it's not the same Houston Astros team that you faced last year. The pitching is not the same. They're not, last year it was like they hit a gear. And you knew like that team turned it on. And you thought they did it here in the postseason. It's like, oh man, if the Astros start remembering how to win, man, they're going to be a force. I don't know though. The Rangers gave them back one of those games. Series should have been over last night. They gave them a game back.
Yeah.
Like the Astros have not looked good. I mean, listen, Altuve's looked great, but Bregman hasn't been phenomenal. I mean, a lot of the core guys on that team have not been great at the plate, and their pitching has been very, very suspect. So I think they're very beatable. If you get home field advantage, there's no other advantage like that in terms of a home field advantage in Major League Baseball. And they can't win on the road, and Philly can go in there and absolutely steal a game or 2 from them. So I'm telling you, I think you want to get Houston. I mean, the Rangers to me are a wild card. They're dangerous. If you have to face that team, they could be very, very dangerous.
That's true.
So,
all right, buddy, we're gonna cut this off because I got.
We're good.
I gotta take care of.
We're good. So I got Astros winning tonight. I think you are hoping for the same, but listen,
I might
guys,
be hoping for the same, but I don't think that's what's going to happen.
No,
I think the Rangers are going to slap them again.
All right, there you go. Mitch has Rangers. I have Astros. Guys, lots of comments, and thank you so much for joining us this week. Mitch, Tom, myself, we appreciate it. Thank you to our sponsors, Royal Billiards, Hats.com, Carlino's Market, and make sure you guys check us out, like, subscribe, follow all social media platforms. Go Phils. Tell someone you love them. And
have a great week.
Have a great week. Take care. Oh, not ending. Here we go.